systematically taking over every single country one at a time and reclaiming what's called their organic and natural birthright. Just beyond any other names that they're using to separate and segregate them, those what we call exonyms, the name the enemy gave you when he came. If you let him tell you who you is, you belong to him. If you identify yourself with who you are, you belong to you, and you can do something about the other people that's similarly situated that don't know no better. But you can't do nothing about it if you don't know you at war. And it's a culture war.
Will there be a World War III in 2024?
We already fought World War III. We in World War IV right now. The World War III was called the Cold War. World War IV is the war for technology, innovation, and the fight for right on Earth. And that's the war we're fighting right now. It's World War IV.
Okay, let's get to another one. Do Rod Hayes do any type of consultations?
Yeah. Message me on Instagram.
What's your Instagram?
The SikApe, at the SikApe.
How you spell it?
THESIKAPE.
Okay.
Which is the acronym to help everyone. Soldiers and Illuminati are present everywhere. Cool acronym, man.
Yeah. So Des wants to know, how does that work when some women want to be man and some men want to be woman?
Okay, first of all, you gotta realize that women that you believe want to be men, they don't want to be men, they want a man. And the men who want to be women was raised that way by a military contingent philosophy. We call it the gay agenda, and they was deliberately taught that by people that wanted to subjugate us. Child molestation is part of Babylonian sex magic. Sexual conversion to alternate gender identity is Babylonian sex magic.
Okay. Question: Rod Hayes, what and when the extraterrestrial will show themselves to the public?
You be seeing them all the time, but you think they regular people. And some of them you just think ugly as hell and they regular people. And some of them you think exceptionally gorgeous, but they regular people. But they all aliens. All extraterrestrials don't look like that comic book ass shit they be telling y'all. Don't fall for that. You gonna know them by the frequency and not by them telepathically talking to you. If you tuned in to self, you'll recognize them on sight. They here all over the place.
Wolfgang wants to know, is one of the three kings in Tennessee?
Right now, they could be anywhere because they what you call underground. But they will have to be made known to the public. That's the rules of the land.
Where's this question at? Somebody's asking, are the ancestors back on Earth plane?
You, your ancestors. If you here, your ancestors here. You they representative. Just like them being here is you being here. Look, your DNA is it's a microcomputer processor. The codons on your DNA ties to frequencies in order for you to tune in to what is written in the code. There's a series of binary numbers that's on your DNA. That's called communicating with the ancestors. That's why communicating with them brings you higher awareness of self, which gives you more control of the environment around you.
Michelle wants to know, will the grid go down?
I don't know. It's gonna officially go down, but I don't know if it's gonna truly go down. But we're gonna have to, when this shift happens, when the organic earthborn reclaim Earth and it's finally done, everything go dark around the planet, and it could be anywhere from 30 minutes to 90 days. That's what they call it.
Keita, I hope I'm saying your name right, wants to know, what is up with Sedona, Arizona? Why are so many non-colored people attracted to that place and not so many colored folk?
The only reason that not so many of the melanated are drawn to Sedona, one is the Pleiadians do a lot of work with what we call the pale face. They got a special affection for them, and they do a lot of work out of Sedona. But most of us don't go because we didn't went down there so many lifetimes. We don't give a fuck if we get there or not. We already did that. That's all old practice. That's ancient practice. But you got a new family member that needed a chance to rule and a chance to ascend. And now there's those beings making it possible. It's all part of the game.
Rod, why does the Palladians have such a special relationship with who we call white folk?
Because a lot of they what we call soul matrix comes from Pleiadian light, as the final two daughters of Isis, Scott and Scotia. And the Isis energy traces back to the Pleiades as well. And the Pleiadians' light lock is what kept the war on Earth outside from spilling outside of Earth. This is what and it's backed up by an Arcturian support system. All these are energy work. All of this is sorcery and conjure and magic and science. Actually, the science is the magic.
Mm-hmm. So would it be, Rod, would it be beneficial for melanated folks to go to Arizona? Or is it like,
look,
it's overrated? Is it overrated, or, you know?
No. We go to those spiritual places when Mother Earth tell us to move. When you don't see us going there, she got us looking in a different direction. They can use that. It's going to come a time where a lot of melanated people are going to be drawn to Sedona. Like, she's asking the question now. That means there's a curiosity brewing in the community. Others of us want to know. It's a lot of us still go down there. Don't get it twisted. But it's just that a lot of work is being done with the most recent evolved human species of the planet. In order to get them their right to ascend, they had to assimilate their one drop of blood. So now they're going for their spiritual tuning sessions to make sure that they can function in the fifth dimensional matrix and the solar cycle. Because the sun ain't going to be friendly just because they got the right to ascend. It's going to be brutal until they adjust.
It's quite interesting. That's a whole nother show. Quite interesting. Yeah. Okay. This is something that's said a lot now. Where's it at? Chat moving so fast. Is it true the sea is space and space in the sky is the sea?
You ain't never heard as above, so below? It means exactly what it say, as above, so below. When we talk about coming into creation from the primordial abyss, abyss is the depth of water, but it's not physical water of the earth. It's the primordial noon, the great waters of creation, which is the fluids that run through the womb of the great mother, who we rest creation in as we develop as the gods. It's all Egyptian conceptual physics told in story fashion is the story of the gods. Those are all conceptual physics stories that tell you how to read the stars, that tell you how to translate it on Earth and what do it mean when you translate it.
Right, right. Okay. Let's see. Somebody said, okay. Is the sky blue because of the blue sun?
That's a double oxygen molecule called ozone that make the sky appear to be blue. It's it's the oxygen molecule that produces a blue pigment, a baby blue pigment.
All right. Will social media ever come to an end?
I don't know, but I hope my social media days come to a motherfucking end because I'm sick of this shit.
Oh man. All right, let's keep it moving. Okay, why are a lot of melanated people moving to the southern states, particularly from California?
I don't know about particularly from California, but I do know Mississippian culture says that when the energy shift, everybody go back to Big Mama house. For Mississippians, that means the land that we call today Louisiana, Arkansas, and Georgia, Florida. That's called the Big Mama land. We call the land of the flowers. Florida used to stretch all the way to Texas in order for you to fulfill your life purpose. Yeah, sometimes your life purpose is just to deliver one message to one individual that's in a far distant place from where you currently sit.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be one person listening to Brother Rich that got the message they needed to get that changed their life forever. And now you did your whole life mission. Now you can go about your business and create whatever life you want to after that. See, we think when we do our life purpose that it takes our whole life. Sometimes it just takes a class encounter.
Right.
You know, because we help other people to help us.
Rod, I remember one time, bro, when I was in my 20s, there was this dude, I was a street vendor in NYC, and I was selling like DVDs and stuff like that. And this dude came up to me and he started telling me about fasting. And the brother inspired me to go on the biggest fast I ever went on. I remember it to this day. It changed my life forever. Made me stop eating a lot of things I was eating. And I never seen the brother again. Seen him one time in my life. One time he inspired me to do the biggest fast I ever did. Then I just never seen the brother again. So in encounters like that, what would you describe that as? Where you want to look for the motherfucker to thank him, like, yo, thank you, but I never found the brother again. It just, what would you describe?
Look, in your book of life, you might have asked for a pass right there, flea flicker.
What? Come on, brother. You got come on. What did you just say, man? You asked for what?
A pass. You said flea flicker.
What's that?
Yeah. In football, flea flicker is the razzle dazzle play on the football field.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. And you might have wrote in your book of life, if I happen to end up right here, that's where I want to put my inspiration spot at. So it's like you stored it there in your life path. And if you get there, you get that inspiration. That was the reward. He was just there as the shopkeeper holding the reward until you came and got it.
Oh, damn, bro.
He there, but he not there no more.
Yeah.
You see? And your paradigm changed because of that encounter. That's how you pick up, you read the signs in your life like that. And the more you understand your path that you took, the more you understand the destiny you're supposed to take. Right? And because it's going to be training you for the next wave of events. And your greatest task going to come when you can look back on it all and know exactly why you did it. Good, bad, or indifferent. You ain't supposed to be squeaky clean, but you're gonna pay for your dirt before you get out of here.
Mm.
That's part of the game. Right? So the dirt had to be enough to draw the misery on the person. Right? So now that they did their dirt, they enjoyed it when it happened, laugh now, cry later. But some of us wasn't about that laugh now. We was about that figure it out. Straight face. And then later we can laugh about it because we're gonna figure it out.
You know what I always hear about, Rod? I always hear about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. They be like, yo, he on the mother wheel. He ain't passed away. He's on the mothership, or what's that called? The mothership or the wheel or the mother plane. What's up with souls like Elijah? You know, I asked you about people with masses. Where's Elijah chilling right now? Where people like Elijah?
Listen,
yeah.
Elijah got a pamphlet. It's hard to find, but it's called Radiohead.
Radiohead. Okay.
And it's about the master's ability to be on the other side. And if a person match enough of their frequency, they can talk to you through that person. And they always have to give you a clue that it's them and not that person, but you got to figure it out. So the Radiohead is the one who can master the frequency so they can tune in to who they need to get the message through. It's almost like the agents in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just take on that person in order to get the message where it needs to go.
Where can I get this pamphlet at Radiohead? Is it available?
It was once produced by the Coalition for the Remembrance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called Crow. They put a lot of his lectures into book format.
Okay.
And a lot of his stuff is laced with esoteric knowledge.
Yeah.
So people thinking he's talking about one thing, but he's talking about something entirely different altogether. Right? The reason his Islam is not the same as Orthodox Sunni Islam is our culture require us to take whatever religion or whatever spiritual practice from around the world, but we have to change it and make it our own. And by making it our own, we'll put fragments of our culture in it, where when the time comes, the chiefs will know where everybody at. Right? And that's how I can trace back all of the students of Elijah Muhammad, and then I can trace the students of Marcus Garvey, and I can trace the students of Noble Drew Ali, because they all use the same methods of tribal communication of the masters to put the information in the public domain. We all looked at it, but all of us didn't know what it meant the same.
Right.
So different pay grades. Everybody ain't supposed to know the same thing. That's what we call code talking. So we could pass information that's overtly in the obvious format. Just remember, if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book.
The book, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I read all them books, because I wanted to see what they was hiding.
You know, I remember in the early 2000s, Rod, growing up in this consciousness and just watching mad Bobby Hemmett videos. He was real popular in the early 2000s. I would hear him always talk about how he communicates with individuals in the afterlife. It may be James Brown, it may be Tupac, it may be this one, that one. How do you get that? Is that something? Have you done that before? Communicate with people in the afterlife, and how do you tap into that? How do you tap into their frequency?
It's telepathy. Just because you don't have a physical body don't mean you still can't talk with telepathy. Right? And some of them come in dream format. They come as dream walkers. So you would know you're not asleep. You like in a meditative trance. And then the reality will shift. But you know you're not asleep.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And then you'll be wondering, where is this place? That's called the sacred halls.
The sacred halls.
Right, the halls of Amenti. Amenti mean the unknown place or the concealed place. It's concealed in the psyche as a university to educate you on the reality that you exist in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To train you up from a beginner soul to a master soul so that you can become the greatest self you can be. Like you doing your life purpose right now. Mm-hmm. It's obvious, mm-hmm. right? Because you excel at it without being on NBC, Fox, CBS. People want to come see what Brother Rich talking about, mm-hmm. right? And you come as with journalistic integrity, and you don't take sides in nobody's conflict among your guests, mm-hmm. right? Because you got some guests that I would love to meet, and then you got some I better not be in the same room with them. But that's called journalistic integrity, right?
Oh man, you funny like a motherfucker. He said I better not be in the same room with oh man.
Right, but that's journalistic integrity because you ain't supposed to take sides with the people purveying the information.
Yeah.
Right? You're just supposed to get the information out, and that's what you do. Mm-hmm. Right? So, like, different people, you would say, I'll make that happen. Other people, you would say, yeah, I ain't gonna even ask them about that. I already know where that's gonna go. Mm-hmm. Right? And you don't mix those lines, you don't get involved in that because that ain't really none of your personal business. You just trying to get information out to the people.
Right.
Right. So I don't feel no type of way. Because everybody got a right to think, feel, believe, whatever they want. That's part of being a sovereign being. Anybody tell you don't have a right to think, feel, and believe whatever you want, they trying to control you. They trying to control you with false information. Because if you got to think about it, if you a guy, right? Because you hear all these clowns running around, I'm a guy. Mm-hmm. Right? If you a guy, the first thing you understand is all of this without is the same as within. Mm-hmm. If I hate any part of that which is out, it's something on the inside I hate. Mm-hmm. The harder I hate that thing without, the more it shows up as a psychological anomaly in the physical form. Psychosomatic illness, right? Because you focused all of that hatred so strong that it made it resonate within the self. Mm-hmm. And it caused the cells to mutate because they don't supposed to push that negative energy through. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? Then you got pieces of the DNA flying off with no way of chelating the blood to get it out because you following the diet that the enemy gave you and told you it was your own diet. Mm-hmm. Right? When we started making hot dogs, who did that? Mm. Right? Who started making hamburger? Right? Ground beef. Where that come from? Mm-hmm. Right? But then where these cows come from? Because we had bison. But we got what we call selective amnesia about the history of our people because they told us that we came from somewhere else and disassociated us from our people's history. All the time, they was never stop bombing our villages and they calling them the Great Fire of this city or that city. They was burning us out.
Right.
All of they so-called bank robbing outlaws was robbing Big Mama's banks. Every town had a Big Mama bank. You got to go back and look and study colonial history because it tell you in the history books that at one time it was a different currency for each bank, right? And that each bank's currency was a recognizable IOU to the fellow banks in the Confederacy. But we don't remember that shit because we think that we know history because we sat in on some Kumbaya Black History Month shit. Right? I don't got no problem with Black history. I got a problem with erased history, misplaced history, rerouted history,
You sound like
redirected history. That's where my problem at, because we see this is a Masonic practice of shifting the story slightly out of context, so it say what it say, but it don't mean what it say.
right.
Right? This is what we was talking about when we looking at all of these different edicts that the Catholic Church is giving to slaughter us over here. Right? But then we want to be taking on false identities that disassociate us from the land so that we can get the invaders the right to seize the land. They can't have it. Right? They already lied about all these treaties because we don't believe in selling the land. You can't sell your mama.
You know, damn. Ooh. You know, Rod, you talk about the land a lot, and that's part of your soul contract. You know, is to break that conjure, like you said. You know, I hear so much about how they flooded a lot of the land. Like, let's say Lake Lanier. We had these towns, they flooded it and built lakes over it. Shit, like there's so many lakes where underneath the lake, it's thousands and thousands of black people. You hear about
It's not just the lakes.
It's the what else? See,
the sandbars of the Gulf used to have structures on them. They bombed them motherfuckers underwater. That's why you got a whole half of New Orleans is under the Gulf. Most of us don't even know that. But I remember it before it was under the Gulf.
So, Rod, that's deep. Now, check this out, Rod. With that being said, and what I said, you talked earlier about species evolution. Us reincarnating in this realm, we got so many civilizations underwater. Do we eventually, because of species evolution, are we going to start incarnating under the water? Because we like shit. So many of us.
We already did that before.
Like right now, are we like incarnated under the water right now?
We already did that before.
Talk to me about that, man. Come on.
There was a species of hominid that looked like a human, but it had gills.
Yeah.
They made a movie called Man from Atlantis based on that species of human. They don't exist no more. But the evolutionary tribe, you can trace them. They in Africa or South Africa, they dive underwater for extended periods of time. Right? That's because they mixed the tribes from the water with the tribes on the land, and the genetics from the tribes on the land eliminated the underwater breathing aspect of open-gilled rib cages. Right? So it wasn't needed. It became a genetic atrophy. It is no longer necessary. The same thing in the fish's gills is the brachia, the same thing that's in your lungs to absorb the oxygen from the water. Right? A lot of us don't know that there's a saline ambient liquid in our lungs as we absorb oxygen. And it's a buffer to allow you to absorb the oxygen. So these little things are just clues to the structure of the creation itself. When you get enough clues and you look at it from, okay, now why would God do this? But it got to make sense first. Then it got to be traceable second. And then it got to have a optimum conclusion that comes to a grand finale. And the conclusion should bring all of the negativity back to balance. Right? So you go back and you look at where was the anomaly? It was in the history books. Where was the plan hatch in Notre Dame University? How do you know this? Because the slave ship is a perfect layover for Notre Dame University. That's where they hatched the plot. What was the plot based off of? Plato's Republic, right? It's a democratic society, right? So when we're looking at the Republic, How is it playing? What's the narrative playing out? What chapter of the Republic are we in? This is the part of the Republic where the Republic falls for the greed of the ones that were sitting in the places of power of the Republic. They greed caused it to fall because they defaulted on all of their loans. Mm-hmm. And then they tried to take out loans on the default. Somebody got to come. The bill always comes due. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Their bill is due. Their time is up. Our time is now. But our people still supporting their old system instead of going back to our system. Mm-hmm. This is all energy exchange. Mm-hmm. They're talking about waking up from the three-dimensional reality of a fixed position mind state, being stubborn to the obvious changes that's in front of you. Mm-hmm. That slows down progress. Bunch of bulls got their feet stuck in the ground. You can't pull them asses nowhere. Right? Somebody needs some carrots on some sticks. Get them heifers moving.
Rod, man, we about to get out of here, man. I want to thank you once again, man, for the awesome, amazing show. I want to get to a question from the people in the chat before we get out of here. I started a little late tonight, y'all, but I want to give me some questions in the chat. I'm gonna take one question in the chat before we get out of here. That thing, what you said while somebody comes up with a question, Rod, that thing you said about the halls of a mentee, that was deep, man. That trance-like state before sleep, because we're taught, we always talk about dreams, but a lot of people don't pay attention to that space right before you go to sleep. Do you think that's more important than the actual dream itself when you're in that trance state before sleep?
Your dreams serve different purposes. Some of them is to rationalize the events of the day according to your book of life. You're doing what's called a comparative analysis. The nightmare is the upset in the paradigm that shows that something in the paradigm is inaccurate. Right? So it's going to come out to stand out in your mind as a nightmare. When you find out what the boogeyman is in real life, you run the boogeyman out the dream.
Right. Okay, let's see. Give me 1 second, Ron. Let me see what they're talking about. The hell some of y'all be talking about? Y'all be saying some crazy shit. Let me see. I don't see anything I want to ask.
So look,